Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode is the black comedy horror film Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, directed by Eli Craig and released January 22nd, 2010. Yeah.
Wow. This is our second episode of season 7. Of course, our Halloween special started off season 7, posted that back in October. However, as usual, we took our little break in November, and here we are, back with you again, bringing you a kind of season premiere that's not really the season premiere.
Right, but it's the first one back after a break, so feels like it.
Yes.
And we talked about this one last season, because last season we covered Little Evil, also an Eli Craig film, and it kind of went down this like, man, Eli Craig hasn't done a lot, but what he has done is really good, and then it was like Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, to which then I found out you had never seen this, and we had to fix that ASAP.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
I know we have an ongoing joke here where you have a list of movies that you want to watch and you can never get to them. And then I find out ones that fit within the genre that we're covering and make sure that we start ticking those off the list.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll just bring some random movie that you've never heard of or never seen. And then I'm like, well, now I'm going to make you watch it because we're going to record about it. And I've never led you astray, have I?
No, not once. I mean, even Turkey was fun. Turkey, I'm referring to Thanksgiving, which, oh my God, do you realize, like 3 years ago, almost, we recorded on that one.
Man, it's crazy.
It is, when you think about how many movies we've done and how much time's gone by. It's wild to me. I mean, we're in season 7. It's been a fun ride, and I can't wait to see where we go next.
Yes, absolutely. We've got some fun stuff planned for the rest of this season right now, so there's some good stuff coming up. I'm not gonna, spoil anything or give away too much because we kind of play on the fly, loose and fast a lot of times. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, we've got, hopefully for this season coming up, some good, some guests, some certain movies, some certain things we'd like to do, maybe switch things up and do things a little differently. Play around with some new ideas. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm excited for this season for sure.
Yeah, me too. I love that we have the creative freedom to kind of try new things when they pop into our heads. We have some potential new guest hosts coming in, which will also be fun. We'll get to introduce them to the world of Run for Your Lives and how we do things over here.
Yeah.
So that will be a lot of fun. And we'll cover some great films.
Yes.
But this week, we are covering, as you said, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. No, I had not seen it. However, this podcast always gives us each an opportunity to share movies. This was no exception. We might as well kick it off the way we always do with a little bit of production notes. It was filmed in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which kind of was doubling for West Virginia, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
It was based on a story by Eli Craig and co-written with Morgan Jurgensen. The film premiered at the 2010 Sundance Film Festival and received a limited release in the United States. The budget was $5 million, and it grossed $5.2 million at the box office. 89 minutes long. Pake, bring us a synopsis.
All right. Affable hillbillies Tucker and Dale are on vacation at their dilapidated mountain cabin when they are mistaken for murderers by a group of preppy college students. Yeah.
All right. I feel like you read that in your very best hillbilly voice.
A little bit. I'm not really. I don't have much hillbilly in me at all. I'm in the redneck zone. It's a very different thing. Rednecks, south, very south. Hillbillies, the hills. It's Appalachian. It's very West Virginia. It's a different thing, a different world.
So I'm getting a geography lesson at the same time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. I love when Run for Your Lives can be educational.
Yes. I do have hillbilly blood though, because my grandfather on my mother's side is from West Virginia. I've been up there and visited his old stomping grounds. So, yeah.
So you're part hillbilly, as Allie would say.
Part hillbilly. Oh, no. Keep the chamomile away from me.
Oh, my goodness. But you love tea, right?
I do like tea. But I'm with Dale. I love Earl Grey.
Earl Grey is really kind of a standard, I think. Mm-hmm. It's one of my go-tos.
Yeah. But I actually do really like chamomile as well. It's a great relaxer.
Is it? Mm-hmm. I've never really had it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
You think it would relax me maybe and help me sleep?
Worth a shot. Why not?
All right. Maybe I'll try it.
But drink it. Don't just blow a bunch of it into your face.
No, I wouldn't do that. No.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's meant to be consumed that way.
Not ideal.
No. That's for sure. Yeah, I usually, when I'm at a skating competition and in the media area, they have a table and usually there's coffee and tea and I go to one of two. Usually it's Earl Grey or it's like an orange spicy tea, which I really like too. Yeah. So those are kind of my go-tos when it's not a Dunkin' iced tea.
Right.
Well, I think we have to start at the beginning. And how do you determine, Pake, who the main character is out of Tucker and Dale?
I didn't. That's how I determined, by not determining at all and just throwing them together.
Okay. That sounds good. Because I kind of did the same thing. I wasn't sure how to break them out because I feel like they're like a tandem. They're a dynamic duo. And there were things I really loved about their friendship.
Yeah, I mean, just in the world of incredible duos, you know, you have your Simon and Garfunkel, you have your Hall and Oates, you have your Brett and Link, you have your Calvin and Hobbes, you have your Tucker and Dale, I
see what you did there.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You just can't really do. I say you can't do one without the other, but I started with Simon and Garfunkel, and those guys did plenty of stuff separately. So
they did.
Not the best
no
example, but you get what I'm saying.
No, but if you go further down your list, and you're talking about Rhett and Link, who are two childhood friends who grew up together,
it's very similar there. Yeah,
it is. They've made this whole world on YouTube, being creators. That, I mean, you can kind of compare that, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, because we find out, they've known each other since they were little kids catching frogs in the creek. You know?
Oh, man. I've never been one.
Two hillbilly kids. Just two little hillbilly kids. You know? You know where I was wanting to go with that.
Go ahead. Go there. Does it involve
two little hillbilly kids outside misbehaving, right?
Yep. I knew it. I knew it. I knew you were going there. I thought the pickles and everything else was going to come out. And pickles did not come out, but we had a big jar of eggs.
Pickled eggs. Yeah.
Ugh.
6-pounder.
No, not a fan of anything pickled.
I like pickled. Yeah, pickled eggs are pretty good. Honestly, it's that, what is it, like the Tijuana Mama, the pickled sausages? Those are bomb. I like those.
Oh, no. No need for that. No, I'm not down for pickles.
I'll share a jar of pickled eggs with Dale. We'll have a good time.
I bet you would.
Yeah, so I just threw them together because, they're they're the dynamic duo of this movie for sure. You can't separate them. You can't talk about them on their own because they're always just Tucker and Dale.
Yes. For some reason, I'm going to say this before we get into it. For some reason, I thought this was going to be a zombie movie. And I don't know why I thought that. But then halfway through, I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was.
No,
but
not
it was
quite.
still a lot of fun. It was still tons of fun.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so Alan Tudyk, Tyler Levine, ultimate duo. They just play off of each other so well. But I love that, in the beginning of the movie, I mean, we're introduced to them as kind of heroes. I don't know, but at least kind of main characters of this movie and like affable guys. But yeah, but they still seem very like awkward. But then you see like them through the lens of the college kids, and they just seem creepy, slack-jawed, like backwoods hillbillies that are gonna like string you up and skin you like a nice raccoon. Like I just love whenever they drive past the college kids on the road when they go around them, and it's just like the way they just stare at them, just so like blank face, just like
It was creepy. And at the beginning you think that the college kids are gonna be like the main characters, except that the movie is Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know the name of this movie and you started watching, you would think, oh, these college kids are going to be like, they're going to be the main characters. Probably half of them are going to die. And this is what, it's going to be like a Friday the 13th situation. But it wasn't like that, really.
No, it was and it wasn't. It's, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love it so much. And a lot of it is because it's dark humor. I love dark humor so much. There's a few people who are going to hear this, I think you included, who are going to be real excited because now that Netflix has officially added it to its to its list because it's November. It was November when they dropped it, so now that it's there, 6 Feet Under is on Netflix, and I finally started that and watched the pilot of that. And I've only seen the first episode as of recording this, but I was like, oh yeah, that's why everybody thinks I'm going to like this, because it is dark humor. And it's, yeah.
You're going to love it. I'm so glad that you're watching it now, because now I get to relive it through your eyes. And that makes me very happy, because truly one of the best series finales ever.
That's what I keep hearing. So I'm excited to go on this journey.
And so well done.
Yeah, based off of
incredibly well done.
Based off just the pilot, I'm still not sure how they squeezed 5 seasons out of this story, but I'm sure there will be plenty to come that will make sense and lots of story to come.
There's a lot in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot. It shifts around, so there's plenty.
So I'm excited. But that being said, I brought that up because maybe that's why this one's such a favorite of mine. Is it's a lot heavier on the comedy side than even that is. But it's dark comedy. I mean, what other kind of movie are you going to sit there and have, a kid launch himself headfirst into a wood chipper and somebody's grabbing the legs and to where I literally have to pause the movie because I'm gut laughing so hard. And I've already seen this movie 20,000 times, but I'm going to laugh just as hard anyway when he's going, "Are you okay?" Like, it's...
Obviously,
it's
he's
so
not
good.
okay.
Yeah.
When I realized exactly what was happening after the first 3 kids died, I'm like, okay, this cottage or this cabin is cursed or something. Because these kids... But then, looking at it through Tucker and Dale's eyes, I think Dale said it best. Are your friends on medication? Because I think he didn't stop taking it.
Yeah. It's literally, it's like a slasher type horror movie, except all of it, except for kind of the twist at the end, which we'll get to, but all of it is a big misunderstanding with a series of unfortunate mishaps. That's what it is. And it's so ridiculous and it's so funny. You know?
It is absolutely ridiculous.
We got your friend! Oh, God! Oh, no! You're like...
No, they're just trying to tell you that they rescued her because she hit her head for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Of multiple times.
And that's what... Because the misunderstandings of everything and that miscommunication is key of this movie. And I think that's just... It's really funny. Because honestly, like, Tucker and Dale are awesome. Like... Especially Dale. I love Tyler Labine in this. Dale
is so
biggest
wonderful.
Teddy bear sweetheart in the world.
Yes!
It's just too bad that he's so goddamn awkward. You know?
But you know what I love about him? That he's in touch with his emotions.
Yeah, absolutely.
That he isn't afraid to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And that he genuinely is trying to do the right thing and be a good guy. And I love that. I'm like, yes, he's scruffy and dirty and probably he needs to clean up, but he's a really lovable guy. He is. Like, he's a teddy bear.
Absolutely. I mean, they're just trying to have their own cabin in the woods, little, like, getaway. It's their vacation home. They've spent all this time and money and effort to get this little fixer-upper cabin and go up there and clean it all up and have their own spot where they can hang out and have some man time and go fishing. And
despite the fact that Dale does not like fishing.
I mean, I like it okay. Did I hurt your feelings? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Again, it's going to be hard for me not to just turn this into a quote fest because
That's totally fine.
I could just, my entire notes could just be reciting the movie line for line. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try my best to not quote everything.
I have a bunch of quotes that I wrote down just because they were ridiculous.
Yeah. But then there's... It's a love letter to a lot of, like, slasher type and cabin in the woods type movies. There's a lot of tropes that they made sure to hit and play off of and subvert. Of course, well, I'll talk about more like the college kids and stuff later and Chad, but even like
Chad.
Chad. But Tucker and Dale, they get the ominous warning from the local cop trope. They're the ones that deal with that. You know, nothing up there but pain and suffering. Right?
That made me think of Cabin Fever right away.
Or like, so many movies.
It's going to be bad.
But yeah, they've got this cabin that they now own that's tucked away up there. Fixer-upper, for sure. There's like, I mean, this cabin has to be connected to the Memorial Day Massacre and things that we hear about and Chad talks about, because there's the news clippings and stuff all on the wall up there, and there's like bones and there's all kinds of creepy stuff. Like, I feel like the hillbillies who were behind that, Chad's father, perhaps, you know, probably did live in that place. So there is something connected there. There is kind of this evil to it, but to them, it's just, it's a mansion. It's their place that they're going to have all for their own, you know, all this creepy stuff and weird stuff, but most interesting of all, Chubby's Chili Dog Depot non-expiring coupon. That's a score. That's a big score.
Yeah, I don't understand the excitement over it, but I'm happy that they were happy about it. I'm like, okay.
But yeah, so while they're there, they've seen the college kids. They've been awkward. Dale has been awkward.
Dale tries, but you can't go over there with a scythe and talk to a girl.
It's not the best.
It's not the best idea. It's not good because
and his awkward laugh. Y'all going camping? Yeah.
Oh man. But you know what? I really appreciate that Tucker really tries to lift his friend up at all times. Yes. Telling him, you're not as ugly as you think you are, and you're better than you think you are, and you're, you know, basically lifting him up and encouraging him.
Yeah.
So much. I just think he should have said, please don't go over there with, the scythe is not good.
Yeah, leave that over here.
Yeah, don't take that with you. Because he's perfectly charming on his own. Mm-hmm. When he, after they rescued Allie, and he is bringing in breakfast, He kind of freaks out because she's freaking out, and he thinks, "Oh, she doesn't like pancakes."
Oh, you hate pancakes. I should have asked if you like pancakes. Yeah.
But he's perfectly charming talking to her, and he's very smart because he remembers, as he said, weird things. And all I'm thinking is, no wonder you're good at trivia games.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember every weird thing you hear, then you'd have a lot of useless information in your head.
Oh yeah,
which is perfect for trivia.
Yeah, he's very excited about that trivia game. He's very simple-minded in a lot of ways, but he would definitely be a secret weapon on a trivia team.
Yes, he would. I want to recruit him now. Although I do already have some great people on my team. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that I would need him. However, as a backup, maybe.
Yeah, he'd be great. But yeah, so they've run into the college kids a little bit, and then they go out and do a little night fishing. Is that one word or two? But they go out and do some night fishing. And again, I could quote fest the whole thing, but it's not worth it because it won't do justice to all of the great lines of dialogue. Just watch the movie, everybody, repeatedly, over and over again, forever. That's what you should do.
You have to watch it. I watched it twice in preparation for this, mostly because it was a quote fest.
Yeah. But there are a lot of just like little back and forth between Tucker and Dale. You know, well, you go ahead and take the last beer. Now you need to stick up for yourself. This is what's wrong with you. And then he goes to take it and he slaps it. Don't even think about it. You said I should stick up for myself. I said, don't even think about it. That was the last thing I said.
You get the dynamic that Tucker is really like the leader of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But Dale, a lot of it's because Dale doesn't have the confidence to stand up for himself, to be more assertive.
Yeah. But he's a very, very kind soul. Because even when they're out there night fishing and they see Allie up on the rock and, you know, Tucker's the one that wants to watch them a little bit more. And the reason that she falls is because Dale sits there and goes, Tucker! And then she hears them and looks over and gets scared. And because he doesn't like that Tucker's being a peeping Tom. Right?
Yes.
You know, and he doesn't want to be either. He's shielding his eyes and covering. It's just like, it's not right, you know?
She was just taking her clothes off because they were going skinny dipping. And Dale, I thought it was kind of adorable that he covered his eyes.
Yeah.
That was kind of sweet.
Yeah.
And he did get pissed at Tucker for watching. It's like, yeah.
But, you know, she does fall in after getting scared, and Dale going in after her and pulling her up and saving her, bringing her into the boat, which starts this hilarious plot of the movie of this misunderstanding. Because then the other, Chloe sees just her like unconscious body being dragged into the boat with, "We got your friend," and it's like, oh, now we're spiraling. It started already.
And Dale tries to give her CPR, and so they think that he's eating her face for some reason. I just am like, he's trying to save her.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they just keep running wild with everything. Like it's I can't say just college kids. I have to say it like Tucker's. Like, it's the college kids. They're the ones that just blow everything out of proportion and keep making things worse. But man, it is funny. But then you see, like, very quickly, because obviously Allie is terrified at first, but as soon as she gets to see Dale for real and who he is, like, she warms up to him very quickly. She can see who he is. Like, even Tucker says, you know, she sees you for who you are. And
yes. And he's a sweetie. He's such a sweetheart.
And he's trying so hard to be more proper for this college-educated, pretty girl from the city, you know, where, you know, he tries not to curse in front of her and, you know, speak properly. I love that. Me and Tucker, Tucker and I brung you here last night. And it's like, he tried. He was so close. It's fine.
He even gets the trivia game down so that they can play it. And she's kind of surprised at all he knows.
Yeah.
Like he keeps talking about he didn't get much more than a 3rd grade education, but he knows a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he says it's because he remembers everything that he hears.
Yeah,
so
except for maybe his own name, because he's still so flustered with pretty girl in my cabin. That I love when she asks, "Well, I didn't get your name. What's your name?" He's like, "Tail, Ducker." What's my name? It's Dale. Like it takes. You're like, God.
He can't. It's gotta be funny, like watching him. It's like he's a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Meeting a girl for the first time and just getting into girls. It's like, oh, it's very cute.
Mm-hmm. He is. He's adorable. Such an adorable, big old hillbilly man. I love him. With a great dog. Jangers. Love Jangers the dog.
Oh, I love the dog.
I love Jangers. Which found out the dog that played Jangers in this movie, his name is Weezer, so all around huge thumbs up for me, right?
Yeah, because
Weezer the dog plays Jangers.
One of your favorite bands.
Yeah. So, very good. But yeah, just a lot of their back and forth. Of course, I'll talk about other stuff. You know, we get the kids taking themselves out, but...
Oh my God.
And again, it's just misunderstandings. It's Tucker sawing into the bee's nest in the tree, and then running from the bees, and then all they see is this madman with a chainsaw coming at them, and they're like, "Oh, we're in a horror movie." But
yeah, that was an homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it really was.
Love that he comes back in. Tucker, what happened to your face? I sawed into a bee's nest. Why?
And then he's, talking about the kids and, holy shit, we have got to hide all the sharp objects. And I'm thinking, yeah, you do, because it gets even worse after that.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then just the play on words and the continual miscommunication theme. Because even when they go out to try to find the college kids, to let them know Allie's okay, but then like they're hiding, and so they're overhearing them talk to each other, and they're talking about this trivia game, this board game they've been playing, where he's like, smart college girl, and I beat the crap out of her. You beat the crap out of everyone. Something's wrong with your brain. Yeah, when we get back, I'll finish her off, and then I'll help you clean up. And it's like, oh, no!
And, of course, the college kids think that he means that he's going to kill Allie. Yeah. Well, no, he wouldn't hurt a hair on her head.
No,
he is so smitten.
Not on purpose.
No, but
on accident.
He's so smitten with her.
Oh, he's fully enamored. Especially when she comes back out while he's digging a shit or crapper hole for the shit hole, the shit house, the crap house, the outhouse. But I mean, yeah, he's just so head over heels for her. She's super cute. She's smart. She's kind. Good with manual labor. She grew up on a farm. She's not afraid to do work. She's very quick-witted. Like, she is the perfect woman in his mind. Like, that is...
Yeah. And he is just... I mean, he gave her a shirt to wear, and when she comes outside, she has transformed it into this shirt for herself that works.
Yeah.
For the outdoors. And he is just, yeah. I don't know how he can possibly talk around her. Because he gets really tongue-tied at times. Yeah. But it's adorable. Like, he cares about her. He doesn't want her to get hurt. She has this terrible habit of bumping her head. Yeah,
well, see, because we got the kid that impaled himself on the limb when Tucker was running around with the chainsaw, Mitch. And then another one comes, another impaled kid, this time in the outhouse hole.
Todd.
And then Allie gets knocked out again because she was trying to get Tucker's attention, or Dale's attention, and he just whacked her in the head with the...
Yeah, he didn't mean to.
Not, but yeah, it's... Which then I love when they're talking about it, Tucker and Dale, and at least Tucker's smart enough to know exactly what this looks like, because Dale's like, we just call the cops. And he's like, yeah. And what story they're going to believe. And I do love that he's just like, Well, hi, officer. We've had a doozy of a day. Here we are, minding our own business, doing some chores around the property, and these college kids came out and start killing themselves all over the property. It's like, only an idiot would believe that. And then later, I love that when the sheriff is there, while they're, trying to clean up wood chipper guy. He's heavy for half a guy. And then I love that the thing that Tucker mockingly said is literally like when he breaks out. He's like, we have had a doozy of a day. And then he goes, do you think I'm a complete moron to believe that story? He's like, no, maybe just open-minded. But yeah, they didn't want to say anything because they're like, it looks bad on us. And then when the sheriff shows up, it's like, yeah, see, this looks bad on us. How do you talk yourself out of this situation?
I don't know how you can.
Yeah, which is why Tucker does, and this is why Tucker does the talking, because then when Dale tries to help out, it doesn't really help. He goes, well, maybe the girl we've got inside the cabin could help explain all this, except that I knocked her out with a shovel. It's like, oh, you're not helping your case at all.
No. And that everything is just so innocent and it goes the wrong way. Like nothing goes well.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these suicides running around, basically.
Right, because you have Tucker and Dale thinking that these kids are in some weird suicide pact kind of thing, and they're trying to protect Allie from her friends. While on the other end, the kids are thinking, oh my god, these two hillbilly psychos have kidnapped Allie and they're going to torture and kill her, and then they're picking us off one by one.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big misunderstanding. The whole thing is a big misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm. With the sheriff again. Do we look like a couple of psycho killers to you?
Yeah, kind of.
You are in a creepy... You are like, two hillbillies in a creepy cabin in the woods with a bunch of stuff hanging from the ceiling with blood all over your clothes. Not the best place to ask that question.
I would kind of lean in the direction of, better get that hell away from you because you're a problem. Like, you're real creepy.
Yeah, but then the sheriff seemed to be coming around to them a little bit until he leans on the precariously loose beam and the foreshadowed nails to the head happens to him. So there goes that. And then, of course, Chuck, the kid that runs off to get the police, shoots himself out of stupidity thanks to Dale helping him out with the safety. You got to turn the safety off.
Dale was just trying to help.
He's just trying to help, yeah.
Except, I mean, if he hadn't shot his own head, he probably would have shot somebody else. I mean, because that's just how ridiculous it had become.
How inept and stupid all of them were, except for Chad. He had his own thing going on.
Oh,
he was living the dream.
Yeah, the I want to kill a hillbilly dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what he wanted to do right from the beginning.
Right. Because we'll talk more about Chad, but he's wrangled the other kids together, the surviving ones, to take on these hillbillies here, and
we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk more about him in a little bit.
Yeah, but he's wrangled them all in. We're gonna go on the attack. We're gonna do what we can, and that's how he's the actual villain. Jangers. He's bringing Jangers into this thing. That big squishy marshmallow. You can't do that.
You cannot hurt that dog. Okay, no, no.
So, but then because of that, we get Dale with the nail gun just going wild.
Kamikaze. It was pretty crazy and so fun.
Yeah, which lets
to watch
Tucker
him do that.
Yeah, lets Tucker kind of go out and get the dog to safety. Which again, one of those like little things. The visual. There's certain visuals that just crack me up, and one of them is Tucker kind of like running with this tree limb that he thinks is camouflaging him as he's trying to make his way to Jangers. Cracks me up so bad.
It's not working, Tucker. It's not working. Okay?
But poor Dale. Then he's having this moment with Allie where he's just like, all this is my fault, and kind of blaming himself and putting himself down, like, I should have known if a guy like me talked to a girl like you, somebody'd end up dead.
Oh.
It's like, poor Dale.
So sad.
Yeah, but then the kids got Tucker, and they had him tied up, and he was a trap to lure Dale in. And even though it was a trap, Dale still, managed to escape by the skin of his balls.
Oh my God. He's grateful that he wasn't hung like something else.
Never thought I'd be so happy to say I'm not hung like a bear. Yeah. But yeah, so they've... again, as far as all the crazy stuff that happens with the kids, I'll talk about that more in a different point, but...
Right.
Chad breaks in.
Tucker and Dale, yeah.
Chaos ensues. They get in the truck, they get out, get away from crazy Chad, and didn't make it very far in the truck because you have to look where you're going, Dale. You have to.
But I felt so bad for Tucker because he'd already lost his house and the truck was all he had left.
Mm-hmm. But even then, Tucker gives Dale this much needed, heartfelt speech of inspiration, and Dale needs to go after Allie because Chad got her. And I love that he suits up. He goes into badass mode because he scares Allie again when he walks in. He's like, "No, it's me. I just wanted to look intimidating. Did I do a good job?" Yeah. You want a killer hillbilly? I'll show you a killer hillbilly.
Show you one.
Yeah.
Yep, he suits up. It was awesome.
With the spikes on the boots, which came in handy. Yikes. That was, man.
I wasn't expecting that. That was something different.
Yeah, and with Allie tied down on this big old table saw, he couldn't get through the ropes with a chainsaw, but throw an axe and she's free. So, yay.
Yeah.
And then let's get out of here.
He was surprised that the axe landed.
Yeah. But I love the horror tropes. He's like, we got to get out of here. So let's go upstairs to where there's no way out. That's such a trope, but it's what we're like, oh yeah, that's...
I don't know why people do that. And then I'm like, but if this happened to me, I'd probably do the same thing. I don't want to, but that's where things really got interesting once they went upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
They figured out some stuff.
Yeah. But yeah. Chad gets taken care of. We've mentioned it a little bit. We'll talk about it more, but yeah, we get the happy ending after that for the most part. I mean, there's a couple lingering like, ooh, what if, but there's no sequel or anything. And it's fine. I don't think there ever needs to be. I like just like the open-endedness, but they've talked about it. They've
wanted to do one
since forever.
They were yeah, they wanted to do one. Eli Craig wanted to do one. Tucker and Dale Go to Yale was one of the titles that was kicked around. Kind of like a Good Will Hunting meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Could be interesting. And Alan Tudyk wanted to do a sequel that was kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. Uh-huh. Like, there were a bunch of different ideas. Unfortunately, as of 2017, a script was written, but didn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
So right now there isn't. Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, they've tried to get a number of things off the ground, and just nothing's happened. So, but where it lies, I'm good with. We get like a good. This is happy. Tucker's all right. He got his fingers back, mostly. Maybe swapped one of them out for one that's a little more dainty. Which.
Yeah, that fingernail was red and painted. How. It would be medical malpractice, honestly, to have that. But
it's another great, hilarious visual gag, for sure. I love that. And then Dale and Allie get to go bowling, and they're in love, and definitely not getting involved in anyone else's nonsense anymore.
No. And he tries to talk to her. I just felt for him when he was trying to talk to her, and she's like, I feel the same way. It really was adorable. I liked it a lot. But I do think that there are way too many shenanigans that go on with Tucker and Dale and their friends.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with nobody else's nonsense anymore. Just
their own.
Yeah.
The problem is nonsense follows them around.
Mm-hmm.
I did love it too, though, that Dale brought Tucker a Pabst Blue Ribbon beer in the hospital. Not sure how he snuck it in there, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because Tucker seemed to be happy with it.
Oh yeah, that's his drink of choice, with his sipping utensil drink of choice too. He's had his bendy straw.
I have never seen a man or a woman drink a beer with a straw. This was a first.
Yeah. Well, when you're laid up in the hospital, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Happy hour waits for no one.
It's happy hour somewhere.
Yeah. So that's really all the main notes I have on Tucker and Dale. We've covered, 40 something minutes of them. I think we've done pretty well on that. Almost.
Yeah.
So,
are we ready to move on to Chad?
We could. Yeah. I've got a few notes about Allie as well, but
okay. So let's talk a little bit about Allie before we go to Chad.
Yeah. Not a lot, just some quick little notes. I do love the really funny thing of while her and Dale are talking about her dreams and aspirations she's in school for psychology, which I do love the line though. She's like, I have these stupid dreams. And I love that Dale turns around. Dreams are not stupid. I was like, I love that.
Me too. He's
got that very positive attitude. But then when they're saying, I just think that so many of the major problems and conflicts in the world are caused by a lack of communication, It's like, you are preaching to the choir, Allie.
This whole movie is due to a lack of communication.
Yeah, but then after everything that goes down when she wakes up that second time, you really see that, she is really good with people. That therapist is definitely a great aspiration for her. She's helping Dale through all of this, emotionally difficult time when he's crying, and she, talks him through it, and is just like, it's okay, get this off, tell me what happened. She's great with people. Maybe her mediator skills when Chad shows up later and at the table, maybe she still has some work to do in that place, but don't let this failure keep you from pursuing that dream, Allie, because sometimes certain people just can't be reached. They're too evil or mentally unstable. And obviously I'm talking about Chad here. Well,
I also appreciate that Dale is kind of taking some of the way Tucker talks to him and lifts him up and is complimentary and encouraging to him. He's kind of doing the same thing to Allie after the failed mediation, saying, no, you did a really good job. I thought that was good. And I like that he was lifting her up with that too. So he's kind of learned this really supportive way from Tucker, and he's continuing it on. So, it's a positive character.
It's just like, you did really good. Way more therapy sessions end with a couple dead bodies in a cabin on fire than you'd think. So. Yep.
R.I.P. Tucker's cabin.
But yeah, I love, a lot of the back and forths between her and Dale, especially, after she's woken up and has kind of this idea of what's going on. She's like, no, this is a misunderstanding. Let me talk to my friends. And then they show up and knock on the door to drop off their little package of fingers. And I like when she's like, it's okay. Nobody wants to hurt you. And immediately after she says that, you hear, die, hillbilly. And it's like,
yep. Yep.
It sounds like somebody does.
I love, too, that Tucker at one point tells Dale that he needs to go save her and look out for her because she's always falling down, hitting her head, and knocking herself out. Because she is. Yeah. Things like this happen to her. She's always getting hit in the head, which is a riot when at the end Dale gives her a helmet. Yeah. A pink helmet. It's so cute.
Uh-huh. It's a great little jokey gift. It's they have that rapport with each other. That's funny. But so that's all I really had on her. I just had a few little notes to talk up Allie a little bit.
I like that she was different than her friends.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you could kind of see that a little bit right from the beginning. They would give us little glimpses. She did have there was one other girl in their group that I thought was not a bad person, but and that was, I think her name was Naomi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just bad information. Her and Jason, I feel like they got bad information from Chad the whole time, because I think they seem more level-headed.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chloe was just running around in the wrong shoes all the time. Like,
I love everything that has to do with Chloe in this movie. I don't know what it is. It's just her, like, running and, like, tripping around in these high heels cracks me up every time. You just, like, see the gang go off running, and then here she is after. I'm like, ah! It makes me laugh every time.
Have you ever tried to run in high heels, Pake?
No, I have not.
No. Try it sometime. Let me know how it goes.
I probably look as hilarious as Chloe does, like this whole movie. But yeah. So really, yeah, we'll talk college kids, but really,
oh my god,
Chad, mainly Chad. That's a reference on its own that nobody will get.
He might be good with an axe, but he doesn't understand no, and he is so full of himself. I just wanted to punch him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was coming on to Allie, he was being way too strong, and she was pushing him away, and he wouldn't take it.
He's a super creep.
He is.
Just an awful person. But I had forgotten about the very opening scene of this movie, where they show Two-Face, burnt, evil Chad killing the reporter and the cameraman. Which, of course, on your first watch, you had no idea. You probably, even though they show Chad in the car, literally the next scene after that, you had no idea it was the same person. I'm sure, like, there's this.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Also, did you know who the cameraman who gets killed by Chad at the opening of this movie was?
Eli Craig. And
Eli
his
Craig
wife
himself.
played the reporter.
Mm-hmm. Likes to throw himself, because they were both also in Little Evil, and we covered that.
Yes. I remember that.
Yeah.
He needs to do more films, Pake. That's what I've decided.
Yes.
Because I need another film like this to enjoy.
Yeah, his stuff is great. Just need more of it. But yeah, we have Chad telling his friends the story of this Memorial Day massacre, where a group of college kids, like themselves, were camping in the exact same place, and they're murdered by hillbillies in brutal fashion, except for one lone survivor.
Well, you know what? Back in that time frame, they were rocking out pretty, or actually, I'm not sure what it's called, but they had some Technotronic on their tape player. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what it was. I'm like, oh yeah, Pump Up the Jam. That was super popular.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, because it's funny, because it was like, had this like sepia tone, like gradient, like it was like way back, like it almost felt like it was like the 50s to 70s, and it's like, no, that took place in 1990. Is when that.
No. 90. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's Pump Up the Jam. I remember that one. Absolutely. Pump Up the Jam was a hot song that played a lot in my car.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that.
But yeah, but just Chad, besides being just such a creep, is like when things start going sideways and people dying, like you see he's unhinged. Like, he's loving this. That he's in his zone. He's just like, oh, we're going to let a few dead bodies ruin our time, you know? Like, he's having a blast, you know?
These are your friends that are killing themselves or being killed, or accidental deaths, basically. Mm-hmm. Accidental deaths. And he doesn't seem to be fazed by it. And later we learn that he's been told this story of his mother and father.
Yeah, that this lone survivor of that story, because he shares that story again in this little therapy session, and yeah, that was his mother, who was pregnant at the time, and yeah, it's funny that it was like, tell your side of the story, and he tells that, and it's like, thanks for sharing, like, even, because then even like Dale's like, I mean, that's not prevalent to these people right now at all, to any of things going on, but okay, thanks for that story.
Yeah, no, it's not really what we're shooting for, but okay.
But yeah, but he's just on this like war path where he's just like, hillbillies killed
Must die.
my mom and caused her trauma and all her friends' death. So I'm going to avenge all of that. And it's just crazy.
It is. And he just continues until he becomes Two-Face after being in the house when it blows up, which I never understood why Chloe just sat down and buy the explosives and didn't even bother to try to escape. Do you think she's
not that bright?
No.
She's not that bright. But yeah, that whole thing was like, because Chad and Naomi arrive first to the cabin before Tucker and Dale come back. And they like to free Allison, but then she's there by herself and she's trying to explain, like, no, they're good guys. Like, nothing, they haven't done anything wrong. And that's when it's Naomi. It's just like, Stockholm Syndrome. That's what's going on. And then when Chad gets that in his mind, then his real creepy side comes out because, like, he's very possessive of Allie and is like, no, you're supposed to love me. And if you love him, then I guess I'll have to kill you both. Like, he just goes completely off the deep end.
He can't imagine a world where a woman would choose someone who he views as less attractive and not fit, basically. He can't, that doesn't work in his head.
Right.
He can't deal with that rejection. That she would find Dale to be an ideal person to be with instead of him when he's a preppy college boy.
Right.
Well, newsflash, preppy college boys can be assholes.
Can be. No.
They can. And sometimes it's better to go for the lovable guy like Dale that's fun and makes you laugh and is, you just enjoy spending time with.
Yeah, but then it all goes wild when there's progress, quote unquote, happening with this therapy session. That's when all hell breaks loose because Jason and Chloe barge in, weed whack Naomi's face off. Jason gets set on fire by Chad, and then Chloe just exacerbates that with a nice old jar of moonshine. He's crackling like a log.
Oh, God.
Stop, drop, and roll.
They were trying to help him.
They tried, but the whole place just goes kaboom. The vacation home. It's so sad. It's like weed whacker to the face, set on fire, all this R.I.P. cabin. I don't care about the kids, but the cabin. The poor cabin.
The cabin. Yeah. Unfortunately, Chad survived the explosion.
Yeah, him and that inhaler. Even as a half-burned murder psycho, he's got that asthma problem. And remember, chamomile really messes with it, he says, because she pours the tea, and it's not chamomile, is it?
Nope. Earl Grey.
And so, yeah, like, he's completely whacked out. He said, Allison betrayed him. How dare she be with any man that's not me, so I'll run her through a giant table saw, because that's what normal people do.
Oh, man.
And he's really got a thing for throwing that axe. All movie.
He's really good with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, you go back to the flashback where one of the hillbillies threw like a saw blade and hit the guy square in the head. I mean, given what we find out a few minutes later at the end of this movie, it's not that big a surprise or very far-fetched to think that he got it from his daddy.
Yeah, because that's the greatest horror.
Like his aim and stuff.
The greatest horror a douchey frat boy asshat could ever face. You're half hillbilly.
Yep. He couldn't stand that Allie told him he was half hillbilly, and it made him freak out even worse.
Right. And then Trivia King Dale comes in with the chamomile, and I love how he's like, well, as long as he's got his inhaler, he'll be fine. And oh, never mind, there he goes. We'll just close that window back up and saunter away.
Yeah, because Allie finds a newspaper that shows kind of the arrest of his father, Chad's father. But Chad's father is a hillbilly and looks just like him. Like the resemblance is spot on.
Almost as if they took the actor and put a fake beard on and then took a picture. No.
I think that's probably what they did.
Yeah.
I haven't read that anywhere, but I'm pretty sure
it's definitely what they did. But yeah, and then it goes full circle back to the beginning because, he falls out the window and it's very Michael Myers where he's laying there at the bottom of the window, very Halloween homage. They close the window so they don't see what happens, but clearly he survived that fall because if you think back to the beginning of the movie, because you're wondering, well, when did that take place? Well, after, because then they show you while Tucker's in the hospital on TV is the news of this reporter and the cameraman about to investigate and go in. So you know how that ends.
Yes.
So Chad lives. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's very Friday the 13th. Like, I feel like Jason Voorhees has done that in a couple of movies. Where he's fallen out of a barn and he's miraculously disappeared as soon as someone goes to look outside. So, it's not a surprise.
Yeah, so that's Chad, unless you've got some more. And
yeah, no, I think we've covered Chad. I mean, my biggest note about Chad was he's an asshole in so many ways. No means no. Yeah. Oh, I did one other quote we haven't talked about. Dale, after Chad says it's time for him to feel his pain, Dale says, "Bring it, frat bitch."
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah.
And I did also think, what guy ever thinks that licking a girl on the side of her face is a turn on?
Creepy Chad.
It's not a turn on. I mean, I've seen it in a bunch of movies that are like this, and I just always shake my head like, no, that is not a turn on for women. Not any woman I know, anyway.
So. But yeah, so that's all the notes I've got other than, I said, I know I took a couple other like little notes more about like the kids, at the beginning. This was, again, just more tropes. I mean, especially the big one is college frat douchebags with some hot girls on a weekend to go camping with them in the woods. And you have the token stoner guy in the group and they have to stop at a gas station on the way in. And it's a really odd, creepy encounter that should scare them away, but they continue on anyway. Everything has a super creepy vibe, especially to these college kids, but really it's just a small podunk Appalachian town. Like that's what it is. It's the random kid in the overalls pumping water outside. It's just like, what is this?
Because I think overalls are like symbolic of hillbillies and I don't know why, but it seems like that's what they wear.
Yeah. But then, Mitchell mentioned him a little bit. Yeah. It's like, he's the one that loses the deal on having to go approach the cabin right when Tucker chainsaws through the bee's nest. And that's when Mitchell exclaims the name of the podcast he's about to be talked about on, and he flees from the man swinging the chainsaw around.
Was so good.
Yeah, and then I mentioned Chloe. Yeah, just running around in the heels is so funny to me.
It's such a trope, though. It's wear sneakers. Why is it so hard? You can get fashionable sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of them, I think it was, Naomi even said, you're wearing the hooker shoes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they might be cute if you're walking down the street, but they're not going to help you in the woods.
Not camping.
No.
Clothing at all.
No.
Yeah. And it had been a while since the last time I watched this. I didn't remember how low quality some of the filming was on this, but it stands the test of time forever anyway. Like, I don't even care.
Some movies are like that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, but that's why Behind the Mask is still always one of my favorites, and it's very low budget as well. But yeah, and then not really on those other than like when the credits hit at the very end, the very first credit song, I really like it. It does my emo kid heart a lot of good because it's a very like that kind of song, because it's a song called I Dug My Grave and Walked Away by the band Mass Undergo that was released on their one and only album they ever released, self-titled album in 2011. I I'd never heard of them before, really, and then but I like that one song. I've never even listened to anything else, but that one song is fun.
You usually listen to a whole album, though, so I'm surprised that you didn't go and listen to the whole thing.
I might at some point. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Alan Tudyk actually came up with the idea of pouring beer on his face to treat the bee stings.
Yeah, and then you see him later when Chad and Allie and Dale are at the table with their little therapy session. He's pouring beer over his severed finger areas too.
Beer cures everything,
it's
right?
Just, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really still curious about how his fingers survived the explosion, but okay.
Well, one of them did, at least.
Yes. The other one belonged to someone else.
It's probably Chloe's. It also blew up in that explosion.
Yeah. I mean, she was laying right next to accelerants, so it was going to happen. Tyler Labine ad-libbed the line, "They hate my face." Like, why am I not surprised? He also came up with the idea to put "give" apostrophe on the hat. It's kind of like alluding to his kind and generous nature as being a giver, but also it's the Canadian equivalent of "get her done," which is something Larry the Cable Guy says.
Yeah.
Which I don't like Larry the Cable Guy, but that's beside the point. He wasn't in this movie.
Yeah, and then Tyler Labine, again, just mentioning him. I mentioned this when we did Little Evil, because he has a small role in that movie as well. And I'll say it again, I need him in more things. I need more of him in my life. He's just, he's so good.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, one last thing. They had finished filming the movie, and it was on the shelf for like 3 years before it was actually released. Which is sad, because people should have seen this sooner. I should have seen it sooner, but I don't know why I couldn't. You know what? I'll tell you why. I thought it was a zombie movie, and I thought it was going to be like the original Evil Dead. And I didn't like the original Evil Dead. I know that's blasphemous to a lot of people, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, I get that, but yeah, this is nothing like that in any way at all.
It isn't. It's amazing. It's hilarious. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I love when we do these funny little ones that are kind of gross and creepy, but also have a lot of humor to it too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fun.
This is my sweet spot, is like the very over-the-top, gory horror comedies that are also over-the-top, ridiculously funny. Like this, and like Cooties will always be at the top of that list for me as well. It's just like... these are the kind I need more of these movies to exist, because I love them so much.
I know, and I don't know of any more. Like, I'm trying to think of other ones that we could do that are in this same realm, and I'm gonna need some help finding some.
Yeah, so maybe listeners, if you have...
Because we can't cover Cooties every season.
Right. Yeah, so listeners, if you've got some ideas, I mean, you see, these kind of like Eli Craig movies, even though he hasn't done a lot more. But if you have any recommendations that are very Tucker and Dale-esque, or Cooties-esque, or Little Monsters, or, Shaun of the Dead kind of fits in that too. But yeah, these very super funny, yet super gory, like, horror comedies. Send them our way, because I feel like I should have run across pretty much any of them, but who knows? I'm sure we've missed stuff, so let us know if there's stuff we need to watch, because these kind of movies getting added to our list is prime for me. I love it.
I know. We need to do more of them. It kind of cleanses things after we have some of the serious, like, Insidious movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have a movie like this to kind of just reset, I guess. And... yeah, we've run out of the ones that I know of. So, we need some new ones. We definitely do.
Well, all right, so unless you've got some more notes or anything, I think I'm good to go on it. We've covered it.
I think we have covered it. We are good.
Awesome. I love that. we're back full swing with the next season, season 7 underway. I think it's a great way to start it off. I'm excited.
Yes.
We talked about this movie first. I mean,
Yes.
technically we did Bloodlines first, but we'll just move past that. Halloween special doesn't count. This is where we're really starting the meat of the season. And we've got quite a journey ahead of us for season 7. I'm excited.
We do. I'm excited too.
And with that, here comes the feedback phone.
Feedback phone is here.
Hopefully we have some people writing about this. I know we have some listeners who love this movie, so
yeah.
Hopefully we heard from them.
Absolutely.
All right, we do have one piece of feedback here this week I say start off the new season, but again, we technically started it on Halloween and then immediately took a break, but we're back. So it's the second episode of the season, but like the first movie, like regular movie of the season. It's confusing. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we do have one piece of feedback, which is awesome. And it comes from Catherine, who's been so great at getting those in. We really appreciate to hear from her. Says, what a great movie to kick off your return. I've seen Tucker and Dale once before, but all I can remember is that I went in with extremely low expectations and had a fantastic time. This was even better the second time around. Fargo is one of my favorite movies, so the wood chipper scene was amazing. Why is everyone impaling themselves? Should I be so joyful at all the accidental suicides? And don't you dare touch that dog. I love the roller coaster of emotions this movie takes you through and had an absolute blast.
Yay!
Yay!
Thanks, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
I had a blast as well, if you couldn't tell. This was the first time I'd seen the movie, and it exceeded anything that I thought about it. So
yeah.
It's great.
Love hearing good feedback on this one because this has been one of my favorites for a very long time. Those who've listened to the podcast well enough have know me. There's like the ridiculous cult horror comedy is
Cooties.
My bread and butter. That's my sweet spot. So yeah.
I always go back to Cooties. I know how much you love that movie. And so anytime we have an opportunity to do one that strikes in that vein, we jump on it because it just is so much fun to talk about. Well, if you would like to submit feedback like Catherine, you can do so on Facebook or Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast. You can email us, runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. And if you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We're available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links that you're ever going to need. And give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way to share the love, get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do, always. And of course, speaking about sharing the love, got to give the shout outs to things going on in the podcast universe around us. Lots of fun stuff. We've been on break a little bit, so like a lot of the time I've been doing this, I haven't been able to plug it over here. But my other podcast, Strange Indeed, so we have covered the entirety of Mike Flanagan's The Fall of the House of Usher, and it was absolutely incredible top to bottom, as we knew it would be, because anything Mike Flanagan touches is pure gold. I just, by, principle alone, that's what we're going to get into. So the finale is up now. Had a blast talking about that, this whole series. I'm just like itching for more Flanagan already. I'm just like, what's next? Let's go.
Well, we should do a Flanagan movie this season.
Absolutely. We've still got a few that we need to do.
We do. So let's pick one and add it to the list.
Yes. So down. Of course. Always down. You don't really have to ask me if I want to do a Flanagan anything. Just say we're going to and I'll go, yay! And then we'll do it. So
you know what? I know just the one.
All right. Interesting. I'll do any of them. I'm happy. But yeah, so of course we covered that, had a blast with that. So if you watched that or want to watch that show and follow along over on Strange Indeed, we had a great time. And of course we'll be taking another little break for the rest of the year for the holidays and stuff over there. So if you didn't listen, you got time to go back and listen over there for a little bit. Definitely check that out. Me and Rima had a great time with it. Also on that podcast, another show running at kind of the same time that I was not a part of. Rima, Wendy, Greg getting together and covering this latest season of the Great British Baking Show, Great British Bake Off, again, depending where you're at in the world watching it. And they had a blast covering that. A lot of great feedback and a lot of fun stuff over there with that as well. So if you're a fan of Bake Off, also check that out on Strange Indeed. They have a good time. I've had a good time doing it in the past. Didn't get to make it this season, but still a great one to do. But also lots of great stuff in Podcastica. Podcastica's busy. A lot of rewatching stuff right now. It's like we're on that tail end, like the writer's strike is over, but like now all the stuff that didn't get done because of it, we're kind of in this rewatch period, which is fine because there's a lot of great stuff to rewatch over there. Of course, Ted Lasso on the Revisited podcast with Ben and Kristen. You can check out Jason doing Squid Game on the Squid Game cast. New thing over there. So Jason, David, a couple of different guests, including Daphne on some of them.
Yes.
Going in and rewatching the first season of Squid Game. And then they've also been covering, as they've been releasing, the Squid Game, the Challenge series, the reality show competition series on Netflix as well.
Man, I love that show.
Mm-hmm. Also, with the rewatch, Still Slaying, the Buffy rewatch podcast, Penny and Kara have been going through big Buffy episodes and their favorites and pulling some fun ones for people to talk about over there on that one as well. So this week, the upcoming one, of course, season 2, episode 22, Becoming Part 2, which, 22 episodes, episode 22 of a season. Remember when shows used to do 20-something episodes a season? We don't see that anymore.
No. In the world of streaming, you get between 8 and 10, maybe 13.
Right.
Other series I feel like cop out at like 18 now. It's not 20 to 24 anymore.
No. But yeah, so a lot of great rewatch stuff. And then, of course, the Walking Dead rewatch as well over on the Cast of Us, formerly known as the Walking Dead cast. They're going back and covering The Walking Dead from the beginning. So season 1 is done and out. They're going to take a little break. I think they're going to cover a movie or two and then jump into season 2 pretty soon. So keep tabs over there as well. A lot of good stuff. Other stuff to go check out. Loki season 2 has wrapped, but they have the Lokiverse podcast over there. So you can definitely check that out to go back and watch season 2 of Loki with them. And they just released or will be releasing very soon. I think might be out now. The Marvels, the new Marvel MCU movie. Alex and crew over there went ahead and covered that as well on Lokiverse. Keep the MCU stuff going. And then What If on Disney Plus, the MCU show, the animated show. Season 2 of that is coming this month pretty soon, so I know Kurt will be heading that up as well when it returns. So definitely check that out on House Podcastica. For sure, I know that. But yeah, podcastica.com. Go find all the links to, there's so many different shows that you can check out. Of course, also a Wilhelm and Podcastica combination, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. Ben and Mark have been doing an incredible job over there covering that. And I think me and Daphne are going to try to jump onto there pretty soon in the next few weeks to cover that, because that's been a really fun show. I've really been enjoying watching it. It's definitely a show. We've covered the MonsterVerse movies here on this podcast, and so you know that we really enjoy those. So it's been fun to watch that show.
Absolutely. I think the concept is clever of having a father and son play the same character.
Yeah.
In the past and present. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Also, Invincible on Amazon Prime. I know there's a lot. We've been gone for a while, so I got to fill you guys in. Invincible on Amazon Prime. Awesome show as well. You can check out the coverage of that on Panels to Pixels and TV Podcast Industries. The first 4 episodes, at least. I know I watched those first 4 episodes and was so excited, only to get hit with the terrible news that the back half of the season isn't even coming until after the new year, and we've got to wait. But, go back, rewatch those episodes, listen to their coverage on this podcast to make sure you're ready for the back half of season 2 when it comes, because, man, Invincible is so good.
Yeah, that caused a bit of a stir here in our house.
Yeah.
What do you mean they're not coming out until the new year? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly, of course, I mentioned Wilhelm doing the Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Gonna give a shout out. This isn't even on our little document, but I have it in mind. So throwing it out there. Go give Ben some love. Ben's great, awesome, good friend of ours. So a little holiday shout out to him for sure over on the Wilhelm podcast. Make sure you check that out. He's doing something a little different this year for his holiday special. Instead of having somebody come on and talk about their top 5 Christmas movies and stuff, he wants to do the first ever really big Wilhelm feedback special, where he wants to hear from as many people as he can. So even if you haven't listened to Wilhelm before, or you're not somebody who usually likes to give out feedback, I implore you, just go ahead and, give him a little bit of feedback over there, because he wants to just, for his own curiosity too, get a big kind of sample size of a lot of different people's ideas. Like, what are your Christmas or holiday traditions with movies, TV show episodes, things like that? What do you like to return to? What do you like to watch around the holidays? What are your favorite movies and TV shows? What are the things you love? What are the things maybe you don't love? What are the, your family traditions when it comes to TV and movies around the holidays? So definitely check that out. It's feedback@wilhelmpodcast.com. Give Ben some love and give him a great episode to really see the wide variety of things that people love to watch during the holidays.
Absolutely. I need to do that. I'll put it on my list.
But all right, I got through it. All the other stuff going on that you can go listen to. But after you're done listening to all the other great stuff, you got to come back here and check us out, because we are back running this season. So next week we'll be here again with another episode. What are we doing next week, Daphne?
Well, next week, we are checking into Zach Kreger's world of Airbnbs, and what we learn may make you question everything. We are going to be talking about the 2022 film Barbarian, starring Georgina Campbell and Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, this movie made me start to question Airbnbs.
Yeah, that's a dark one. It's creepy, but it was a really fun one to watch, really fun one to talk about. So yeah, definitely check that out if you get a chance to watch that. And yeah, leave some feedback. If you do check it out and do watch it or have seen it, I'd love to hear what other people have to say about that one. So
definitely
hear from you next week.
And with that, we've reached the end of another fun, hilarious, terrifying episode of Run for Your Lives. We're back, everyone.
Yay. Thanks
for listening. I am Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.